What's up, guys, and welcome back. And we're continuing our journey in this series talking about cards that you need in your collection. Now, Sapphire or blue is one of the strong colors that has really been taking off as we've gotten into set 3. Now, blue steel has been around for a while, but set 3 really brought red blue back into the action, and I think it's still going to be one of the top decks. It could be the top deck of set 4, and because of that, I want to go through and really talk about the 10 cards, and like we said in all the other videos, it's really going to be 12 cards because this is the first 3 sets. I want to make sure I talk about all the cards that you're going to need in your collection. That way you can build these decks once you jump in, or just to continue to build that collection to make sure you have them in case you want to switch decks later. So with it being said, guys, let's jump into it. Hold on a second before we actually look at the cards. I just want a friendly reminder, you guys. Next Monday, we're going to be doing a drawing and we're going to be pulling the names for some lucky winners to win one of these guys. And speaking of Sapphire, well, there's a Sapphire deck here and has a lot of great cards that you're going to want for the next set. So make sure you make a comment on this video or any of the other videos for your chance to win one of those decks that we're going to be giving away in less than a week. All right, so let's start off with those honorable mentions. And in the first slot, I have Judy Hopps. Now, Judy Hopps is a great card. She's 3. She's inkable. Inkables are always great. She taps for 2 lore. So again, really great curve there. Now, her ability is where she shines because when she enters the field, you get to banish an item. When it comes to blue, if you're not playing one of the other colors that can remove items, because there's a lot of items running around right now, she is one of the cards that can do that. Sure, they get to draw a card, but if you're destroying a dime or one of these other, like a spell book or something, it's totally worth giving them one card. Now, in the second honorable mention, this is a card that I'm throwing in here because I do think it's going to be needed at some point because of how the meta is going to shift in set 4. This card is Cogsworth. So this is Cogsworth Grandfather Clock. He is a 5-drop inkable. It's a little pricey, but he does have a shift to come down early. He taps for 2 and he has Ward. Ward is very important in this game because right now everybody has targeted removal outside of Be Prepared. So with Ward, the only way he's going to die is if you quest him or something like that and they're able to attack into him. But the reason why you use him is he gives all your other characters resist 1. So I bring this card up as one of those cards to keep an eye on or grab, into your collection before they go up, because at this point, with Emerald doing its thing in set 4, I believe we're going to see Grab Your Swords come back into play. And once Grab Your Swords becomes a card that's being played as, a 3 or 4 of like it was in set 1, that resist is going to be huge to save your entire team. So all in all, I think this is one of the sleeper cards as we go into set 4. Yes, he's seen some play in the past, but I think he's going to make a comeback because of that resist. All right, so going into the top 10, I'm going to start this off with how far I'll go. How far I'll go is a 4-drop. It's non-inkable, which is really the reason why I have it in the 10th slot compared to being a little bit higher on the list. But when you play it, you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them in your hand, and put one of them face down exerted in your inkwell. So again, this is a ramp card. It's a really, really great card because, well, you get 2 cards. You get one in your hand and one that's already going into ink. And so this is going to speed up your clock and you're going to be able to see kind of what's on top of your deck and grab the one that you care the most about in your hand. So the number 9 is Grandma Tala. This is Grandma Tala, keeper of the ancient stories. She is a 4-drop inkable 3/3. And her ability is when you play this character, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may put one in your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order, your deck in any order. So again, this is one of those things where you're able to look at the cards, you're able to find the one that you want, maybe get rid of that one that you didn't want to draw, put it on the bottom, and just kind of get you through your cards. So in the Magic world, we call these cantrips, being able to play a spell and dig through your deck or find a card or, again, essentially replace itself. So putting a card in your hand as you play it. That's why they're so powerful. She's inkable, so even if you got her early and you didn't necessarily want to use her, you can use her as ink. So the card overall is pretty good, and that's why it's in the 9th slot. In the 7th slot, we have Lucky Dime. Lucky Dime costs 7 and is uninkable. Because it's an item, as it comes down, you can immediately use it. And the way this one works is you can tap it and tap 2 ink and choose a character, and you gain lore equal to that character's lore. Now, in the decks right now, we have characters like Belle or Donald, some of these characters, Gaston, that have a lot of lore counts on them already. So when this is coming down, it's instantly giving you like 4 lore, 3 lore, even at a bad case 2 lore. That's instantaneous. So we talked about this in Amethyst, the goat coming down and giving you lore out of nowhere instead of having to wait a full turn to tap. It's pretty big. Right now I have it at the number 7 slot, and yes, I could see it being a little bit higher, but because these aren't 4 ofs in decks, they're 1 or 2 ofs in decks, I have this a little bit lower on the list. Number 6 is Tamatoa. He is an 8-drop. He's inkable. He's a 5/8, so he's a pretty big body to take care of. Whenever you play this character, or whenever he quests, you may return an item card from your discard to your hand. He also says this character gets +1 lore for each item you have in play. So Tamatoa, along with that dime, you can get some pretty big lore here by having a bunch of little items out like Pawpscicle, or if you don't know, there's essentially a new Pawpscicle over in Steel. So this is going to be one of the big cards that's the finishers to that deck. All in all, Tamatoa is going to be a really great card that you probably need to make sure you have if you're going to be playing any of the blue cards, the blue decks, especially if control is your game. He is one of the best cards in the blue color. We're also talking about other finishers. We've had Lucky Dime, we had Tamatoa, and now we have Belle. So Belle, strange but special, is a 4-drop inkable. She's a 2/4 with 1 lore. During your turn, you may put an additional card from your hand into your inkwell. Now, that card does have to be inkable, so keep that in mind when using it. But being able to get extra ink every single turn if you have a lot of cards in your hand is pretty big. And once you have 10 or more lore, she's going to tap for 5. Again, going back to Dime, now Dime taps for 5 as well. So this is something to really keep in mind. She can swing a game from out of nowhere, and with blue, getting 10 ink is not that difficult. You can do that by turn 5. All right, so in the 5th slot, we've got One Jump Ahead. One Jump Ahead is a 2-drop, uninkable, but it is a song that you can sing, and it lets you put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exert it. So it's really just a ramp spell. This is one of those things where this card is kind of ebbed and flowed between all the different sets, but it's a great card, especially right now where you're ramping, you're Pawpscling on turn 1, you're doing One Jump Ahead on turn 2, and then you get Hiram down on turn 3. Yeah, it's a really great card to get you that ramp early on. And the biggest thing here is you don't know what you're going to ink. So just keep that in mind as you're going through. It's just the top card. You don't look at it, it just goes right into your inkwell. But any of that ramp is going to be huge. So moving into the 4th slot, we have Develop Your Brain. Another cantrip type card. It's a 1-drop. It's inkable. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may put one in your hand and the other on the bottom of your deck. We already kind of heard this card with Gramma Tala, but this time it's a 1-drop spell that you can use. So you're just kind of cycling it. So later in the game, it's a great card because now you're looking at the top 2 cards. You can try to pick the one that you actually want and then replace this card in your hand essentially with that card. So yeah, it's a really good card. And even early game, if you're trying to dig and find that one card that you're needing, it's going to help you get there. That takes us into the top 3 cards. And yeah, this one is a must when it comes to blue. And this is Fishbone Quill. So Fishbone Quill is a 3-drop inkable. So if you get one late game, or maybe you already have one on the field, you can just ink this and not have to worry about it. But you can tap it and put any card from your hand into your inkwell face down. This is huge. So there's a couple pieces of the card that makes this huge. One, it can be any card in your hand. It can be an uninkable card, can still go into your ink. Your opponents don't get to see it because you don't have to reveal it or anything like that. So you have no idea what you put in your inkwell. And the other thing is it does not say exerted. So if I play this on 3, I can put something in my inkwell and be able to use it that turn. Or next turn, you know, you're going into 4, I can ink a 5th, and then I can use this for a 6th. And on turn 4, I can have 6, ink and be able to use that. And that's not saying that I didn't use One Jump Ahead on 2 or anything like that to maybe even have 7 ink on turn 4. It's pretty crazy. So this is one of the cards that really ramps up blue. And when you think of blue-red, this is how you get to your Be Prepareds on turn 4 or 5 to handle the aggro decks. It's a great card, and if you don't have them, this is a card that's going to stick around in blue for many sets to come. All right, so in the second slot, we've already talked about this card just briefly a second ago. It's going to be Hiram Flaversham. Hiram is a 4-drop inkable 1/6. He taps for 1 lore, but when you play this character or when you quest with this character, you may sacrifice a item and draw 2 cards. This is huge. So we talked about it earlier, playing Pawpscicle on 1, which is an item, playing 1 jump ahead on 2, and then playing him on 3, sacrificing your Pawpscicle to draw 2 cards is huge. Then your next turn, maybe you throw down another item, you quest with him, you sacrifice it, you draw 2 more cards, you're getting that card advantage, and that's what he's here for. So the number 1 slot, I know you know what it is because I've definitely named this card multiple times during this video, and it is Pawpscicle. Pawpscicle is one of those cards when it was first spoiled and released, everybody looked at it and was like, meh, it looks okay. Because of the fact it's a 1-drop inkable, when you play it, you draw a card. You can sacrifice it to remove damage off of a character, and there are some times that makes sense and you do it, but a lot of times it really is just draw a card. Put it down, draw a card. You have your Hiram, like we talked about a second ago, draw 2 more cards. Some people play cards like Nick Wild that wasn't even in here, that when he gets played, you get to pull a Pawpscicle out of your discard pile. There's a lot of stuff there, and it really is just the engine that you can use to be able to draw a bunch of cards in there. So those are the top 10 Sapphire cards, and I believe that all of these cards are going to get continual use into set 4 and potentially set 5 and 6. These are great cards. Blue Sapphire is just a great companion color to most decks. So if you haven't picked up these cards, these are definitely the ones I would zone in on when it comes to Sapphire. There are plenty of other great cards that get used here and there, but these are the ones that are going to be played in almost every single deck. Now, I appreciate you guys sticking around for the video, and if you haven't already done it, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I mentioned the giveaway a little bit earlier in the video, but we have another giveaway that once we get to 1,000 subs, we're going to be giving away a trove. So make sure you hit the sub button. Make sure you leave a comment, you hit a like button. Let's see if we can get more views on this video than all the other videos and just continuing this roll of this stuff. So I appreciate all you guys who have subscribed. Appreciate all you guys who have commented. Until next time, you guys, take it easy.